Hi scrappy friends, this is Hannah and I am doing a mixed media layout and this is gonna be, I will make sure I have the link for the July project sheet. So if you don't know, once a month we put out a project sheet which shares and focuses on a layout card, spread, mini album, and it basically goes through the steps of how you can make this with your kit. So definitely check that out because you can get a lot more step to step. I mean, basically, I will be sharing the steps with you, but you'll be able to read them. And sometimes when you read it, you can get it accomplished better. So what you don't see is the fact that I have primed this paper with ground absorbent. I like to use that when I am using watercolors because it just really works. That's what ground absorbent is, a primer that works really well with watercolors. So I'm using Prima Watercolors. You can find, I believe, this pack is in the store, but it might not be the whole thing together. There might only be some of the colors. So, but I believe this is the tropicals. It's not the regular ones, but it doesn't really matter because a lot of the colors are really similar. So, and I say just make do with what you have. I mean, if you're looking for a really cool, vibrant watercolor, these are definitely ways to go. So I used the different color blues and I kind of tried to do like an ombre, and so what I did is I put water on there first and then I kind of striped on and had it be lighter on one side and darker on the other, and different darker blocks. So yeah. Now this is not completely dry and I didn't want it all the way dry because I'm going to take these shimmers colors and I have a gray silvery color and then this white color, and I'm trying to think about the fact that I know I want to do a photo of water or like the ocean or something. I wasn't really sure at this point what picture. This is usually how it goes when I make a layout. I don't always know what picture I'm going to do when I'm doing the media. But it is helpful sometimes to know because then you can kind of alter your media to work with whatever. So sorry about my crazy head. I try not to get that in the frame, but sometimes it just doesn't work. So I'm just taking this gray silver color, and that one is one of the pots that is dried. And then I don't know if we have these ones in the store. We have some different shimmers pots, so I'll make sure I link to the shimmers pots that we have because I love how shimmery the shimmers products are. So they work really nicely with other watercolors too. So and then I just kind of splattered it around, thought about how water is, and I do like the fact that I can, so as you can see, I'm adding some more darker colors in with the in the puddles of the shimmers so that I get like the mixing of the two colors. And I know that this is pretty much going to get covered up, so it's not really trying to be perfect. It's just kind of trying to create different water patterns with the way that you're mixing the colors together because they are liquidy. And this is why you prime your page, because you don't want it all soaking in and drying up really fast. And then if you add too much, you can just use a paper towel. And I know I explained that a little bit in the project sheets. I think that's one thing that people are afraid is that it's going to be too dark and they're going to add too much. You can always use your paper towel to sop it up a little bit. You can always wait for it to dry and then paint over it if it's too much, and add some gesso to it or add some white paint, acrylic paint to it, and cover it up. I mean, or if it's that bad, you can always toss it, or you can cut up shapes. I have done that. I've done media like this and then put it through my silhouette file and made cut files out of it. So there are ways that if you don't really like how it turns out, but I guarantee that you're going to get to this place, and once you start putting your embellishments and stuff on, it will be fine. So what I did is in the silhouette, I just cut out some some basic water splashes. I think I went in their store, in the Silhouette store, and just looked up like splashes, but you could always go online and find, as long as you're not selling the product, you can go online and find a free digital PNG file that you can just cut, or you could draw it in the Silhouette yourself. I'm not too good at making the shapes in the Silhouette. I have done it a little bit, but so I just thought it would just be easier. I actually was kind of hoping that I could find the Echo Park or something like that, or Fancy Pants in the store, but I don't think I did. So this is really similar though. So, and I just used the 6x6 pattern papers. I put 3 on the sheet, and then and so each of the quadrants of the 6x6 I just cut out. And as you can see, that bottom one I put on pop dots, and then the top one I just glued on with the liquid glue. I just glued it pretty much in the middle because I want the edges to kind of roll, like lift up. And if you really wanted it to lift up a lot, you could take your pen once it dries a little bit, the glue, especially if you're using liquid glue, which I use the liquid glue because I'm using mixed media and there's gesso and a lot of watercolor, so it's going to have a harder time sticking. But you could also roll the edges a little bit with a pen and get the edges and just kind of roll it a little bit. And then you could create a little bit more dimension. So now what I'm using is a paint pen, and there's a few different brands. You could probably find a couple other brands too. This is just the Jane Davenport, but it really doesn't matter. The pens are pretty decent too. You just have to go over it quite a few times and know that some of the watercolor might kind of pull up a little bit. But I'm just gonna create some splashes, just hand drawn. And that white works better when you do it on the watercolor, because then you can see it. I did a few on the white part and you really couldn't see it. And I did have to go over them a few times. I'm not sure if I show every single time me going over them, but I did. So this part took quite a bit of time because, you know, I put all those little tiny pieces, and some I put on pop dots and some I just glued down. And then, so right now I'm going to work on a few layers, but then I'm going to go back and do some more doodling and outlining, because I really want these, the painted elements, or, you know, the drops to like really stand out. I want that to be a big part of my layout, and I want it to look like it's kind of coming off of the page, because it's kind of hard to see right now, but there's a sprinkler and my dog is like kind of in the sprinkler hogging it. But I am going to use some of the pattern paper that I use to cut out my files, the edges. So I'm just trying to see how I can fit them with my picture. I'm using a 4x6 picture. It would have worked really well with like a 4x4 too, probably. I probably would have been able to get more edges, but or different edges. So I wanted to be able to utilize this paper because I like that it's a smaller pattern, as I could have used the big pattern. So I'm using both the TN kit and the main kit. Right now this is just from the TN kit. But so I'm putting the top and the bottom, so just parts of it show off, and there are empty spaces. And then I'm going to add this foam. It's just foam, but you know, you could get the kind with the adhesive too. It doesn't. And because I know that some of my other layers after this, so that it kind of just pops off just a little bit to be a little bit above those splashes, because I'm thinking I'm going to put it like in between the two. Of course, I probably should have thought about that as I was drawing all these, but I don't. I just kind of draw, and then as I lay things down, I figure out which stuff I'm okay covering. And I think that's part of it. I think if you do plan it a little bit more ahead of time, then you can kind of focus a little bit more on that, or you can just do it and then see how it works out, you know, see what placement you think works out best from what you did. I think this part isn't as necessarily as important as what you stick your photo down. And then that's when you need to start thinking about a lot more of the placement. So I did outline pretty much everything in that gray or silver pen. It's a Pentel, like a gel pen, and I really like these. It works really well for like that doodling and just to kind of help that pop. I don't really want it to pop too much, and I do use a black pen. I use my Muji pen that I use. The only thing about the Muji pens is if you have a lot of gesso, it kind of gets stuck, so you got to be really quick with it. You can also use it, like the Uniball pens work really well if you're doing it really quick. And I did do a few with that black, that's the Muji pen. So I just outlined them, a few of them, and it just kind of helps them pop out just a little bit more. But I didn't want to do all of them because I don't want all of them to like really pop off. And I don't want it to be, if you do every single one with the black, then it really is, it makes more of a statement. And I wanted some to kind of lean back in the background and some to pop up. So that was my own decision on how I wanted it to look. So yeah. So now I'm going to go back in a minute to doing more layers. I'm trying to decide what colors I want to stick with because at this point I have that Marco Polo paper that I'm using a little bit of from the top and bottom, and it has some like red and pink and orange, like a yellowy orange yellow color. And I'm trying to decide how much of that I want on my page because right now it's mostly teals and blues. And so I do kind of want to stick more with that, but I do like the fact that I can add a little bit of yellow and a little bit of red. So I'm thinking about that. So I staple that vellum piece and then I'm going to add that. I'm just kind of working around where I want to put that tag. So I pull out some tags and frames too. So this was from the TN kit. They have a whole bunch of tags and frames, and as you can see, I layered it with that paper clip of the splash, and it's really cool. I really like that. I really like adding those kinds of things in the layers because it really just, it helps move things and creates a little bit of different shadows, and it, you know, you can tuck things in. And this is, I think, where paying a little bit more attention to those edges and curves of where things are lined up when you're doing the layering, it really just helps. In my opinion. I mean, you know, you can get really anal with this and be really picky, or you could do it really fast. I think it just depends on your own style. I will say a layout like this will take me not quite 2 hours, probably from start to finish. Just because of the media and you got to wait for things to dry. But usually, like, I try to stick with the not overthinking it. But I will say that when you're doing stuff like this where you want there to be quite a bit of movement, you do want to think about it. Once you have that photo down, you do want to think about where your sprays are going, where does it make sense. And so you just got to do what feels comfortable. If it feels comfortable taking a lot more time to really think about where you want it, then do that. If you feel like you need to just do it quick and not overthink it, then do that too, because I think it'll work out either way. And I did pull out some of those splashes from the regular kit. And I was thinking about adding some other embellishments, but I end up not really. I just mostly stick with the splashes from the puffy stickers and the embellishment kit. So I did save some so that I have some for some other layouts. It was hard though. They're so cute. So I just kind of moved them around and put them, I try to layer like some on top of each other a little bit. I'm going to end up putting a blue star on that chipboard from Freckled Fawn. So this was super fun to do. So definitely, like I said, go check it out. And then you can see all the other layouts or things. It's not just layouts. I know the one that I made a while ago was a mini album. So in the fall time, I did a mini album. So that was really fun to share. So it's just one of those extra things that we do at Clique Kits that kind of helps, you guys have a little bit more inspiration and help you create things that maybe are difficult. So which is why I wanted to do the mixed media, because I feel like sometimes we feel like it's really complicated, and sometimes it is complicated, but like something like this really wasn't. It's more of just like the doodling part, and it just takes a little bit of time. So so as you can see, I'm adding more of those splashes. Some I have on pop dots and some I don't. And I really like how the water spray actually goes off of the photo. So I like how it's coming up off of, and I can use it to just kind of put those splashes around where some of my other embellishments are. And this really doesn't have a ton of embellishments except for the cut pieces and the doodled and the die cut pieces. So of the splashes, that's really the main embellishment. And I wanted it to be that way. I do add that smile, which does add a little bit more extra color, but that's okay. I think one element like that isn't too bad. I think this kind of has to go with your gut here and like your own personal style. Some people do the monochromatic really well. I find that I tend to like to end up adding more color. So I cut this off of the exclusive pieces for the TN kit. And it just says splish splash, and actually it had 2 sets of splashes, and I only used the one because it had a little bit more color in it than I wanted to. So I just chose the one side because I felt like those 3 colors were a little bit more of what I had on my page. And I'm going to add this as part of my title. And I like to do this. I like to add phrases that are already built in the exclusive pieces, in the die cuts or something, because it just kind of helps you make a fun title. If you can do something that's really long, and then you're not wasting your alphas either, because it's already those words are already there. So I put splish splash taking a sprinkler bath, and I'm gonna use bath. I'm going to use the white tile, or the white sticker alphas from Kesi'Art. And I really like that because it's kind of hard to see, but it's kind of fun. If I had thought about it maybe just a smidge bit more, I would have put it over top so that it was where the sprinkler was, where the bath, so that you might have been able to see it. Now, I could have went back in and added a little bit of color, and that would have worked too. Or I could have added color on top of the sticker, but I kind of like how it looks where it kind of blends in. So you'll see that in this close-up in a minute. So don't forget to go check out all the links, and definitely check out the new site that we have. We have new codes. So I'll make sure I put my new code below so that you can use it in the store and get some great discounts. And I will see you guys later. I hope you guys have a great scrappy week. Bye.